Here I am trying to take the headlights out on my car. Not really the headlight. I have an issue with a burnt connector on the low beam of a 2010 Ford Fusion SE. You can see here I've already removed these pieces before I started videoing. There's our little connectors here that kind of hold this top piece in place. One thing I've learned is my bumper is broken here. You can see it. I didn't realize it till I did this, but all I'm using is this tool here to do this job. I've already removed those connectors here. Here, there's 4 of them. Here's my connectors right here. And what I try to do is set this thing outside in pieces. Kind of helps me remember how to put this thing back together. But that's step number 1, is removing those. And thank you to those that have posted these things already. There's been several videos on how to remove the bumper. Basically, to get to the low beam wire up under here where I can splice it, to change out the headlight, it's easy. I've removed this here, and then you take this off, pull it out. You can basically lift this piece out of here. Now obviously you have your hose down there in the bottom that, you know, I just gotta set it aside. But that's how I can easily change out the low beam without having to remove the bumper on the 2010. I think on the later models you actually have to remove the bumper to change out the headlight. In this case, I've been able to do it by just removing this. Obviously, you wouldn't want to do that if it's hot, but that's how I've changed out the low beam. But for this burnt connector, I can't get enough wires pulled back to properly splice it and to heat shrink it. The suggestions I've seen online about heat shrinking is because moisture obviously can build up in here, which is even though you'll see the back side of this is covered with a rubber piece. The main thing is you need to make sure once in those connectors, if moisture gets in there, that it doesn't short out. So step number 1 from what I've looked at is removing this piece here. And then I think we'll remove this bolt. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, and then 2 more of these guys here. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here and we'll pick up. Okay, here we are again. You can see I removed these. I think these are a 10mm bolt. There's 4 of them here. Now I'm going to remove this little connector here. There's a connector here, and there's a connector over here. What I've found is easiest is use a flathead screwdriver to pop the piece. You gotta first pop this middle circular piece up, and then once you have that up, you can either use the screwdriver or this pry bar is a little bit better. They make a tool to remove those. You'll probably see that on some of those other videos, but flathead screwdriver to get the middle piece up, and then small little pry bar to get the connector off of there. Okay, so here we are. We got those pieces moved. You can see you start to have some play here, right? So basically your bumper, get these pieces off, your grill starts to come off easily here. The next step, according to the video, is to come up under here underneath the wheel wells, and you'll see that this is the piece here that you're trying to separate here. It comes down. There's 1, 2, 3 of these bad boys we got to remove, which are the clips. So you gotta take out that piece first, right? That piece first, wiggle it a little bit, and then this piece. So I'm going to go ahead and take these off. Sometimes these will break, but you can buy replacements for them. If you do your own car work, probably not a bad idea to maybe buy some of those. I do this specifically to save money. I'm pretty cheap. But we'll remove these on both sides of the vehicle, and then we'll move to the next step. Okay guys, so I've taken off these 3 pieces here, right? Here's what they look like. Now what you notice is I've jacked up the car a little bit because I was missing a step here. First of all, jacking up the car, it's just lifted off the ground enough for me to get up under here. Because if you look up under here, we're gonna need to take up some of these bolts here, right? Because to get to the grill off, which is, or at least to pull it back enough to where you can get into that headlight, you have to remove that bottom piece up underneath. I'll try to get a good footage of that, but it may be difficult since I'm using my phone without a post here to hold it still. Now I've got it jacked up. It's not very high, like I said, and there's nothing, the wheel's not taken off or anything, but you'll notice I've chocked the wheels in the back just to be safe. Mechanics out there, if there's any safety steps I'm missing, please provide them. But one of the things also is that I got this out, because you can use the sockets, right? The sockets are right over there, but this is just a cordless drill, and then obviously I bought a, you can buy a, hold on a second, let me set the phone down. You can buy a 3/8 inch chuck to put on the end of these, and it's a lot easier when you're taking off these little bolts like this. Just be careful, those bolts, some of those bolts have fine threads on them, so you don't want to have it to where it's over torquing, where you eventually strip them out. I don't know if that'll happen very easily, but this does speed up the process a little bit of taking some of this stuff off. So basically, for me to lift this, set this guy under the car, I've got to, obviously I'm not gonna use the deep socket for this next step, but for me to be able to get up underneath here and remove these using the drill, I just put the jack under it. It took me a couple minutes. Probably could have already had them off, probably with a ratchet, but I was just showing you guys for when you get started, if you can jack it up a little bit, or if you have some of those ramps that you can drive up on the ramps, and it lifts it up off you know, to change oil and things like that. But that's pretty much it. I've removed these 3 here, as I said, and then we'll I'm gonna take these off here, and work my way around. Now I'm gonna try, like I said, I'm gonna try to do this by just, because I only need to mess with this side. I'm gonna try to just remove this far enough off to see if I can get to that headlight a little easier, because right now you really can't get up in there and work. I tried it, but we'll see. I'll come back in a minute.